Hi everyone, my name is Charlie. I have just arrived to work and it looks like I'm moving in. Basically, I have arrived with a bag of stuff and it's got boots in that I want to show off. It's got tea in because I wonder whether I'm starting with a cold, and I've said that this ginger tea I got for Christmas might be good for getting rid of one. And I also brought in the book that I'm reading. Should I show that here? I am finally reading The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. This has been recommended by Dave over at Wild Reads for the last year. Since he started his booktube channel, he has been talking about this book. And so I put a request in at the library. It finally came in yesterday. And I am 69 pages into it, because that felt like an appropriate place to stop yesterday. I'm hoping to finish this book tonight, and then I'm basically just trying to beat my record of how many books I read in a month last year. I read 17 books in January last year, which was the most books that I'd read in a month. However, I do know that the start of last year, I was able to read more because of just the way things fell at work regarding the new year. So I'm not sure how good this reading month's going to be. It probably won't reach the same as it did last year. I don't mind that so much. I'm just kind of like trying to beat myself at the moment. I know this goes against everything I said in the video, but the only time I ever have competition is with myself, so I think that it perfectly fits. I like to compete against myself and beat my own records. Sometimes I don't, and I'm quite happy with that, but yeah. Also, I looked last year and it turns out that I actually just read a lot of very short books in January, which is why we read so many. There's also some Lemsip in that bag, just in case, because I haven't started with a cold, but I have got the sore throat one associates with a cold. My nose is doing some weird twitching, and I've got blisters on my feet from wearing the boots I mentioned earlier. And for some reason, I have a very strange body that whenever it gets like a wound, like a cut or something, then it decides to get a cold. It happens every time. When I fell over and split my knee last year in August, I got a cold. And it's just the way my body works. As it tries to fix part of it, the other part of it gets a cold. Yesterday, because I wanted to talk about this, I have been rewriting the children's book that I wrote a few years ago, and yesterday I read part of the redone third chapter at the writers group, and it was a bit well received. I know that before, when I read the first draft, they mentioned that it was a bit quick, and listening to it, they couldn't really get a grasp of who the different people were. And the more that I've slowed it down, whilst it's very vivid and the images are quite good in there and they enjoy the images, they preferred it because it had this slower, more measured tone. And I thought, that's nice. This storytelling after 4 years is up to something. I mean, there are still problems in there, because I have mentioned in another video how I'm working to this whole thing of just trying to write. So if I reach a point where I know what I want to write, but I can't make the sentence sound extremely good, then I'm just writing what should be in that sentence, irregardless of the sentences around it or the structure. So there are a few repetitive sentence structures in there, but I work very much on the way something sounds. So if it doesn't sound right, then I know I need to go back and change it. Which means that I'm going to have to read a 70,000 word book aloud. It's a good job I like the sound of my own voice. Is that all I wanted to talk about? I think so. I feel like I should wrap up this week in some way, but we've had 2 videos this week, and we had those big magic videos last week, and I'm aware that I've made more content at the start of this year, but don't expect it to continue. Don't expect any regularly scheduled stuff, because that's not just who I am. I have a haphazard schedule that I never stick to, and the only thing you can usually expect is a wrap up at the end of the month. Sometimes I think I should go back to calling them those books what I read, but some people just, I think, book like January wrap up. It's a universal title, it's what people are seeking out, and I've always liked to jump on bandwagons, and that was something I carried over from my blogging days, and it didn't stick. I think I did it for about 2 months in a row, maybe, way back when I first started this channel, in this little burst of originality I was having at the time. And now just kind of like doing what everybody else does, not really caring about things. Yeah. Anyway. Yesterday was also the publication date of Joanna Cannon's 3 Things About Elsie. I'm going to be linking me to videos about that, where whatever you call it, in that thing. And please go and have a look at that book. Purchase it. Download it on Audible. There are many ways you can access that book. If you can't afford to go out and buy it, request it from your library. It's a much sought after book. You might have to wait for a while, but it will definitely be worth it. I heartily recommend this book. Not only is it Joanna Cannon who wrote one of my favourite books, but it's also talking about older characters who I feel are sometimes underrepresented in literature. And because of that, I think that you should go out, you should get that book, you should read it, you should enjoy it. There's a mystery there, it goes into psychology. If you are a fan of Alan Bennett, then you will really enjoy these books. And I can't recommend it highly enough. Anyway, I'm going to disappear because I can feel that I need to sneeze. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.